Hey guys, so I know this is really random since I've never made a YouTube video before, even though I've been on YouTube since like 2008. And I've always kind of wanted to make one, but I never really had anything to talk about, or I guess never had any like original videos or anything that like I thought was worth making that nobody's seen before, whatever. And I was like, I don't know, I was young, whatever. I was like, I didn't have enough confidence, whatever. But now I'm over that. And lately I've been watching a lot of these types of videos when I get bored, like when I'm, doing the dishes or cleaning my house. Um, I just sit around and watch my paranormal experience videos. And so they kind of inspired me to make this because I really like talking about this kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just like I love sharing the stories and I want to hear everybody else's stories too. So I kind of just want to contribute to all the videos out there. And there's a lot. I never really knew that people made these kind of videos, but then I don't know. Of course, I started watching Graveyard Girl, and just with the related videos, I just discovered this whole like subsection of YouTube where everybody just talks about their ghost experience, and it's kind of just something I really want to get into. So, and I have a couple of minutes before my mom's Labor Day party starts, so I kind of just want to talk about it real quick because I'm going to be starting school soon, and I'm not going to have a lot of days off. So, yeah. Okay, so it all started, I would say, when I was around 12, maybe 6th, 7th grade in the summer. And I remember this really vividly. I was at my old house. I moved when I was like 17. But I just remember this so well. Oh, and all these stories happened at my old house. This house that I'm in now is not haunted at all, as far as I know. I've never seen anything, never sensed anything, but my old house is a different story. So, when I was around 12, I remember I was sitting on the couch watching Laguna Beach, and the way my house was set up was it was kind of like, okay, so you would have, you know, the TV, and then the staircase was above it. So it's like the TV and then the couch in front of the TV, obviously. And so if you're on the couch, you could look up and you could see the staircase like very easily, at least out of the corner of your eye. So I was watching Laguna Beach, and out of the corner of my eye, I just saw like these feet start to come down the steps. Like, you know how it looks when somebody's starting to run down the steps really fast, or even just like starting to walk down the steps at a normal pace. You see these feet like coming down. So I saw that, and I thought it was my mom, and like I physically reacted to it because it was such like a vivid like thing that happened that I saw. It wasn't. It was like a shadow, but like not really. Um, but I reacted to it. Like I looked up to kind of talk to my mom and ask her a question because I wanted to talk to her. And I was like, "What are you doing up? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning," and she goes to bed really early. So I was like, I wanted to talk to her, and I got up to talk to her. And by the time I looked back at the staircase, it was gone. And so that was something that kind of happened like a fair amount in my house. I would always see shadows out of the corner of my eye of actual, like shapes, like people, animals, um, and they would disappear by the time I looked at them. And the weird thing is, I only saw a person once, but I would always see a dog run up and down my steps, like all the time. Every time I watched TV, I would just see a dog. And it was weird because I had a dog that died maybe 2 years before that. Um, and it looked like that dog. It was just, he was shaped like, like a male dog. He was a golden retriever, lots of fur. I could tell it was him. It just looked like him. And I would always see that dog. And, kind of like, this is really weird. My dad, okay, so my parents got divorced probably around the same time that happened, maybe like a little bit before that. But my dad wasn't living there at the time. I don't think he was. Maybe he was. I don't know. But um, a couple years ago, I was talking to my dad. We went on vacation together, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Yeah, did you ever like notice anything?" Because he's also like a believer in ghosts, and I'll tell his story later. But I was kind of just talking to him about ghosts and the paranormal and stuff like that. I was like, "Yeah, did you ever see anything that you would think was paranormal, like in the house, because I really feel like that house was like really haunted. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah. And I had never talked to my dad about this kind of stuff before. Like, up to this point, I never said anything to him about the house. I just wanted to see, like, what his thoughts on it were. And he says, I saw a dog running up and down the steps out of the corner of my eye a lot. And I had never said anything to him about the dog ever. Like, I was kind of testing him to see what he would say. And so he said that, and I was like, oh my god, that's so weird because I saw that a lot too. Um, so after that, I didn't really see too much. Okay, so here's the weird part. When I was alone in the house, or when it was just me and my mom, whatever, the haunting, I've heard, I don't know too much about this, so don't quote me, and I probably should have looked it up before I made this video, but it's kind of just like a last second thing, so, I'm sorry if I'm wrong about this, but I've heard, that there are two types of hauntings in a house, and it's like a residual haunting and a intelligent haunting. And a residual haunting kind of just like replays like things that happened, like moments in time in that person's life that died, just like replays them over and over. And that's what I kind of felt like the dog and the person running up and down the steps was. It was like residual, like nothing was really messing with me, it was just like something that happened that could have happened in that person's life, and it wasn't really interacting with me at all. But the weird thing is, I feel like the haunting changed from residual to, I think it's active or intelligent or something like that. The opposite. When people slept over. And I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's like a thing, but the experiences I have that could be considered active or intelligent only happened when people were sleeping over. So the first one I would say happened when my one friend was sleeping over. It was kind of just like a thing that was like, maybe it wasn't that weird, maybe it was, I don't know. But it freaked us all out. And basically I just had like one of those like really old alarms, like a digital alarm, and it was a clock and it was a radio. So like you could either switch the little knob to, alarm or radio for when you wanted your alarm to go off. So I always had that alarm because I knew if I had the radio on, it wasn't going to wake me up. That's just how I am. I sleep through things like that. And all of a sudden, like in the middle of the night, the radio just randomly started blasting. And it wasn't switched on to radio at all. It was switched on to the alarm. So I don't know how that happened, but it was really freaky and it scared us. And so that was weird. And then, okay, so this is really strange. When I was in like about 8th grade, we had, I don't know if other states or whatever do this, but in my school, we had an 8th grade trip. So it was kind of like something like a treat before we graduated. We all went to Baltimore. I live in Philly, so we all took a bus trip to Baltimore for the day, and we had to get up super early. And I used to live literally like across the street from my old grade school, and it was just literally, like across the street, and everybody else lived in the neighborhood, kind of not, like a drive. So they all decided to sleep over at my house because we had to be up so early. And so we were all sitting in my living room, and all of a sudden, okay, so I had like a really old cat. He never bothered anybody. He didn't, make noise. He kind of just like kept to himself, chilled in the basement all the time. All of a sudden, the cat just screamed, like, like one of those like scared, freaked out cat screams. And right after that happened, okay, so we were all in my living room right where that TV would have been, and so we could see the steps. Right after that happened, the lights in the hallway on the, like, if you're going up the steps, there's a hallway, obviously. Those hallway lights flickered on really fast, like on and off, on and off, on and off, and then it stopped. And then right after that happened, my mom said, Sam, like, turn off all the lights downstairs. And that just didn't make any sense because the lights were obviously coming from the hallway, so I don't know what she was talking about, but it was kind of just like something weird that happened. We were like, what? Like, what? And that freaked us all out really, really bad. It was kind of just like, maybe it doesn't sound as scary, like, when I'm retelling it now, but, like, if you were there, like, you knew something was happening, and it was, like, not normal or good, or it was scary. And I kind of told my friends the house was haunted too, so they were freaking out about that. And it was weird. And I don't know, maybe this was all in my imagination, but I felt like every time I went up the steps, I felt like something was behind me or following me. And I think it's kind of a hard feeling to describe unless you've had that feeling yourself. And it could have been my imagination, just because I was, like, thinking that there was ghosts in the hallway. So that's something that could have been easily explained away. But it was a really strong feeling that something was behind me and following me up the steps, and it freaked me out, like, really bad. So that's pretty much everything that happened to my old house. But at this point, I think all those experiences are kind of mild to where they could be explained away. Oh, Sam, it's your imagination. It was the electrical. You're seeing things out of the corner of your eye. And I agree with that. I don't think that those were very, like, like, it didn't convince me that ghosts were real, basically. I was kind of just like, this is weird, but I don't know. It's kind of like I have to wait until I actually see a ghost before I, like, without a doubt, believe in them. Because I was kind of like, I was a skeptic. Like, I wanted to believe in ghosts, but I'd never really seen one, but I was kind of starting to get convinced at this point. But the thing that completely convinced me that ghosts are real, happened probably around the same time that these experiences happened, because I was living in my old neighborhood, and that neighborhood is, everybody knows each other there, kind of like everyone hangs out, and, like, everybody talks about this funeral home, kind of like not down the street from my house, but like all the way down the street in front of my house, all the way down on this, like, avenue. And everyone says it's haunted. And it's like, the thing is, you're supposed to go there after 12, and you sit outside with your car or whatever, you stand outside, and the house was like one of those houses where it's like, the roof, and then under the roof it's like 1, 2, 3 windows. And supposedly, the rumor was that if you go and, kind of like hang out in front of the house for a little bit, a light will turn on, and then you'll start seeing, like, a shadow flash back and forth, like that, like, just, really fast. And I was like, I loved ghosts at that point. Like, they fascinated me. They still do fascinate me. And of course, I always wanted to go to this house. And we did go quite often, and we would see a shadow. You would hang out for a little bit, and the blinds were always down. So it was kind of like, ooh, like, what if the blinds were up? Like, what would we be seeing? But yeah, a light would randomly turn on, and you would just see a shadow flashing back and forth. And then that would go on for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then the light would shut off, and that was it. That was weird. And it was kind of like a light that didn't move like anything solid would, if that makes any sense. Like, it just moved to where, like, it was like, it looked like a shadow. Like, I can't really explain it. But if you can kind of figure out what I'm talking about, like, if you know what I mean, like, it wasn't like a really solid object that was like, it's hard to explain what that would have been. I can't come up with, like, any rational explanation for what it was, without saying it was a ghost. So this was something that, this convinced me, okay, that there was ghosts in this world, that ghosts exist. So one night we come up to this house, and we're, like, at this point, like, okay, so the blinds are usually down, but at this point, one of the blinds were up. And we could see into the house very well. So we're like, oh, like, we're finally going to see what this thing is. Like, we're going to figure it out. So we were kind of, like, parked to the side of the house, so we had a pretty clear view, like, on the inside of the house. Like, it was, like, in an angle where we could see straight in. And we were kind of just sitting there, and all of a sudden the light turns on, but it was a hallway light, and you could tell that the room was still dark. So we were looking into the hallway, and this still freaks me out to this day. Like, I don't know if anybody else gets, like, teary-eyed when they get scared or, like, freaked out, but that's kind of happening to me now, and it kind of just happens every time I think about it, but I'm not crying or anything. It freaks me out to think about it. Um, all of a sudden, we see this body. It was like just a man's body, like a head and a chest, like straight up, and it was solid black. But it didn't move like anything human. It moved like a shadow, like I was describing. Like it just moved so, like a light, like a shadowy light. Like there's no way that a human could move like this, but it looked human. It was like it was just like a person, like a guy with, it didn't look like he had a chest or a shirt on or anything, but it was just like his chest and like his head, and he was like straight up, and he would move like, he would be moving this way and then that way, but he wasn't moving, you know, like human, like at all. It was like a shadow. It was very fast, and it was like swift and like just like how a shadow would move, I guess. Um, and it's still hard to explain, but seeing that with my own two eyes convinced me that ghosts are real. Like I knew that ghosts were real after that. And I guess that's pretty much it. That's the only that's the last ghost encounter I had, actually. And I don't want to say that I'm sad about that, because ghosts scare the crap out of me. But I don't know. I like interact. They fascinate me at the same time. So I don't want to see any ghosts in here in my house, because that literally just I have trouble dealing with that, because I like to feel safe in my house, and I don't want, a ghost to be hanging around and trying to scare me or whatever. But, maybe somewhere else at somebody's house I would like to see something, but I haven't in years, so. But I know that they're real. I'm positive of it. And, yeah, so that's my experiences. Now, my dad had, like, kind of like a strange experience at his house, too. Um, they talk about sleep paralysis, where you wake up and you can't move, your body's just like paralyzed because your mind's awake, but your body isn't, or something like that. I don't know, like the science behind it, or whatever. But that happened to him one night. He was laying in bed and he woke up out of nowhere and he couldn't move. And he turned his head to this. I mean, I guess he turned his eyes, like he could move his eyes. He turned his eyes to the side and he saw a man like standing above his bed, and he just felt like this horrible feeling of like dread. He was really scared. Um, but I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since he told me this story. I don't know. I guess he like was able to wake up or go back to sleep, or whatever. So he's one of five. So the next morning, he's like sitting in his kitchen with all his brothers and sisters, and he's telling them like, "Oh my God, I saw a ghost last night, you guys. Like, I saw this thing. I don't know what it was." And they're like, "Oh yeah," like they did not believe him at all, and they were being very vocal about the fact that they did not believe him. And they were just, "Yeah, we don't believe you. Like, that's not true. Like, ghosts aren't real, blah, blah, blah." Talking all this shit. And as soon as they started, like, denying that, my dad's bureau just tipped over in his bedroom. And his bedroom was above the kitchen. So right where he was talking to his brothers and sisters, and it just fell over out of nowhere. Like, he said that's never happened before. That's something that never, it's not a regular occurrence. It just fell. So there you go. Those are my experiences. This video is way longer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I just kind of want to share that with you guys. Let me know what you think. And definitely leave comments, videos, whatever, telling me about your guys' experiences, because I love hearing about them. Like, I'm literally obsessed with paranormal videos. It just it's something that I really entertain myself with, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, these are so crazy. Like, I can't believe this happened to people. And, like, they fascinate me. So please let me know if there's anything that you guys experienced that you want to share. And I'm definitely gonna be making videos in the near future. I've always wanted to, like I said, but never really had the confidence or like the willpower to do so. But I have a few video ideas in mind, so I think I'm going to be making some in the near future. So yeah, if you liked it, let me know. Subscribe maybe, and I will see you next time. Bye.